Good morning. Happy Saturday, right? Saturday? I can never remember. It all just kind of blends together. I know I normally joke and say that I'm tired, but I just brought the newborn home yesterday. Yesterday morning. So, only up 6 times last night, which I think is not too bad. It's a bit of a marathon, but I'm feeling somewhat whole this morning. So I figured after the baby was cluster feeding, why the hell not do some streaming to just kind of... Plus I promised this guy I would work on a shot for I don't know. It felt like weeks now. And I'm tired of being a D. So I figured I'd get right to it. Here's the shot. So this guy posted this. I don't know if he's an artist or not, or I think he had a show or something he was going to do. But basically, I just loved the shot. How do I get rid of this Alt-R? I thought it was tasty. I really liked it. Compositionally, it's really cool and fun. And composition is actually one thing I've been wanting to talk about with people here on this, because to me it's really important. If you can look at the old kind of the modern art photos, or not photos, but things where they're just using just pure objects. And I'm just gonna kind of straighten this out here real quick, just to kind of make it look like it's not falling over. I'm bring in some lines here, but composition to me is like everything. If the shot doesn't have nice composition, it's going to suck. Just how it works. And this is just, to me, such a cool little way to show cool composition without actually trying and just showing regular life. But the guy didn't like this foreground hand object in there and wanted it removed. So I was like, I'll get rid of it for you. So we're basically just going to go over how I would extend this out, get rid of that, and just kind of touch up the shot a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this thing kind of level here. Get that over there. How's everybody doing today? Everybody having a good Saturday? I always ask that, but what if you're not? I'm having a good Saturday so far, but we did just get the kid home yesterday, so newborns will be newborns, right? That's looking about straight. Oh, let me bring the bottom over. There we go. Slide it over to kind of fill the frame there. Should be good. I can retouch that out, but that's the only issue. All right. So in terms of the importance of composition here. Oh, you know what? Look at there. That'll drive me crazy too. Skew this down a little bit. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just who I am. I just like these things to be symmetrical, I guess you could say. I'm a bit OCD in that respect. Almost there. Like this. Come on, just oh. It's gonna be about right. All right. So composition. So there's a few things. So this one looks like it has. So you have a few things that create composition. One here. We've got this. So we've got this object here. We go marquee. Oop. Shift O. I'm going to create a new layer. Okay. We got this object here. Marquee. Shift M. We got this object here, right? Grab some of the color in there. This blue color, that's pretty cool. We'll go at this color. So you kind of the cool thing about doing this stuff is it kind of gives you an idea of the modern art aspect of it, and just how I see composition. Now I'm basically just blocking. I'm just blocking out the composition so you can see why I like this image, and then I'm going to go over and explain what is so neat about this. Okay. Marquee. So we've got So I'm still just kind of blocking out some of this composition here so you can see what I see in this shot and why I think it's so beautiful in that respect. Off. So just blocking out these colors here. Color. Alt delete. Fill that. Control D. What else we got in here? All right, there's some vertical lines in here. This white one. Put that on this layer. Alt delete. Oops. Alt delete. Lasso. Because this right here is actually extremely important. This particular section here. Delete. I'll go new. Go another solid color. For me, composition, it's the candy of the actual photo, right? It's the thing that attracts you into it. It's It's the actual, it's the story of the photo, I guess you could say. It's what gets you to move around the entire image. And it's extremely, extremely important. It's what decides whether you like something or not. Some of this solid color here. More representative of that. Lasso. Delete. Oops. Delete. Delete. And we got this color here. It comes through all the way to the floor. Solid color. Turn that off. Pick it up there. Turn it on. Move it out a little bit. Underneath our boards there. Another color. Now it seems maybe redundant to do this, but can't think of a better way to explain how this composition is going to work, or how it works without actually like just kind of drawing out the shapes that make up the shot. Why it is so, to me, so visually appealing. This is part of the, go there, delete. You have this little part here, which is also pretty cool. Fill this. Perfect. Channeling my inner Bob Ross, I guess you could say. Probably should have done this beforehand, but I'm blocking it out so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Which is the whole reason why I was told this guy, yeah, I like this shot, I'll do it. I'll put this behind some stuff here. There we go. These houses blocked out too. Turn it off. We got some objects here. You got your red piece. Which also draws your eye in. Turn the floor back on here. Figure out what else I want to add here. I'm going to add these bars in here because this is important as well. This here. So believe it or not, so I went to Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, and they actually teach a class just purely on composition. It was actually one of my favorites, so I feel like I got the most out of it. And it really, for me, kind of started to make or break what I was doing. We got another color here. I'm shift clicking all of this, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. Turn it off, select the color we want it to be. There. There's a part that I'm missing here. Yeah, that doesn't go all the way across because that would ruin the composition. We kind of got some pulls here. All right, and then basically this guy here. Oh, there is one other thing. You have, if I turn this off, there's this right here. You know, we're just gonna do this here. Use the select object selection tool. Kind of just pick that up. Hopefully it'll give it to us. Right there. There we go. So I'll get there. I'll do the sky. I should do this as a, put a gradient on here because that's actually important too. So I'll pick this color. Okay. Do another solid color and clip it to it. Will be the lower portion of the sky. That. Clip it. And let's go gradient. Move this back here. Turn this off. Just one little thing here. There's a triangle in here. A lot of this, it's kind of like if you remember figure drawing. I don't know if you guys do figure drawing. You kind of go back when you're doing figure drawing and you first start. They want you to basically break the human object, the human body, into solid objects, and that becomes you kind of then start working off basic forms to then get the best representation of what it is that you're drawing. A lot of the stuff that we did, because I slightly minored in illustration, except for the fact that I didn't finish when I was in college, which I thought I was crazy that a photographer wanted to minor in illustration. But as a composite artist, it was somewhat valuable to me be able to then draw out what it was that I wanted to do. Let's turn that. So then we've got these simple objects here, right? These clouds. I'll do this solid color. I kind of explain why, to me, this composition is so just brilliant. Now, again, like I said earlier, composition is what gets your eye to travel around the image. To kind of give you that visual story. Like when I'm laying out multiple shots in a spread or for my website, I want to do it in a way that basically enables viewers to move in and out and interact with my imagery. So they're not just sitting there staring at the same shots compositionally over and over again. Yep, turn that off. The color here, there we go. We'll just do simple clouds here. Almost done here. Thanks for being patient. It's not fun watching somebody block out something, but this is part of the deal. Particular cloud right here, I really like. This one right behind her head. So this is where we're at, right? I would say to me, this is a pretty, a little bit more. We have those stripes on her. Let me turn her off. And I just want to turn the floor off. Apologize, excuse me. Go here. Just wanna... Sky off really quick. All this stuff here plays a really important part of this. Blocking out that little strap of hers. And I just want to put these. It's being a pain in the butt today. Got it. I want the stamp, I want the brush. All right, get the strap in there, and then do these. Dots in here. Those are in there. These are in here too. I believe there were some on the seat. If you're wondering how to select something in image, I always control click on it, on the layer, and it reveals itself. All these will end up being on anyways. So we got this here, this there, and then I'll be adding these here. And another one probably down here. All right, that should be everything totally blocked out. The only one thing I do want to bring in here is I'm just going to copy, rather than build this out, just copy it, paste it. Bring it to the top, turn everything else on. Okay, with that said, I'll be right back. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. Now, this composition. So you have, you know what, there is one part here. Hold on. It is darker down here. I'm just going to click on this. This, yeah, okay. Shift, nope. Shift D, delete. All right, so that goes over this, right? Fade, so I'll just click on that. Control G, put a folder gradient, X, shift drag. There. Okay, so in this shot, oh, there's the window to the this pole. Missed a whole bunch of stuff here. That baby's crying. May have to step away. Unfortunately, newborns are a thing. There was a massive hole in here. We need just bring some of these clouds over. Let me go with this here. Just add this in. There's one more other thing. Oh, yeah, so let's do this lasso. Make that a solid object. The only thing that's missing is that bar that I just created. I don't know where I just put it. Here it is. All right. So, Composition. This to me, oh, her head's gone. And our dots. There it is. All right. Oh, and the other dots are here in the foreground. Where'd they go? Where'd those dots go? They're here. There they are. Now they're back. There. So, compositionally speaking, make this white. We'll throw a black frame on this. Hit stroke. Do 5. Black's fine. Okay. Now, here's our shot. So there's the first thing you see here is this big contrasty wall, right? All this here. And the cool thing is it's all kind of broken up into thirds, right? You've got this particular area is a third of this entire space. So the law of thirds in composition is really, really important. This is broken up into thirds. And then you have this vertical line here, which brings your eye all the way up to the very edge here, and then travels along, and then you get to visually go through all this. And then there's this tension right here from the shadow of the lady that drops you all the way down to the edge of the frame and takes you out. So this is what's so cool about this. So you're looking at this thing, there's all this visual tension because of the contrast right there. And that red actually pushes your eye in visually. So I'm going to actually draw on top of this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. For me, this composition is absolutely the coolest part about this entire shot. So your eye starts, let me get a good brush here. Sorry guys, I'm plotting a feeding schedule before the goal is always, the objective is always to get the baby as fat as possible before you take her into the doctor. So that way they don't send you to some specialist because you're not feeding your kid right. The struggle is real. So compositionally speaking here, so we have this this area here is broken up into thirds, right? So your eye starts right here, and then these lines, these diagonal lines, start to push you in this direction. And this little red part, to me, actually squeezes you up into the top of here, and then down this, literally down this pipe, this little angle right here, then drops you down into here, right? This particular area right here, this little collision between these two triangles, literally brings you right up to where this guy's head is and takes you to this woman's head this way. This contrast here, her strap then brings you down into these horizontal lines, and then these little dots then drag you into these lines going this way, right? At the same time, when you go visually in this direction, these clouds also take you up into this corner of the image, along with this particular 45-degree angle of her hair that then brings you down into this area here, and all this stuff then has you traveling out the image this way. So you start here, you go up this way, you come down, and then you're pushed out of the shot this way. So you literally, And I love this little tension here. It fills up this little hole here. It's just so cool how you have all these things that move your eye. Like this pushes you. Oh, all this stuff pushes you this way. If this shadow wasn't here, you would never come down this way. But because the shadow's here, it creates a visual tension that brings you down this way. You then come up, you then come down here, and you're then dragged across this way. Her hair at a 45-degree angle pushes you into her belt strap. You then have these two pieces of visual tension here that then bring you down. And this little foot drags you all the way this way and then takes you straight out of the shot. That's the coolest thing about this shot is the genius composition, which they don't teach. People don't talk about this stuff, but it's literally how you get through this entire image and makes, to me, what makes the entire thing just completely visually appealing. So we'll get rid of this foreground object if I have time, but it just gives you an idea of like all this stuff that's going on, this visual tension here, the clouds that are bringing you this way, these angular lines on the side of the ship that help you go completely the other direction and draw you to this side of the frame. There's just, no matter where you look, your eye wants to go somewhere else inside of the shot. Like this little details here, I'll probably bring these out. Like even this little, so you got this triangle here with this guy, the little highlight on his hand brings you down into these horizontal lines that then create more visual tension this way. And then same thing with these things here. This little tension drags you out of this into this really big long piece here. It's just so nice, just the way your eye gets to dance around the image. So these are things to think about when you're creating a shot as to how you want to go about getting visually or even like, I don't know, making selects. It's kind of, there's a whole bunch of stuff to look at when you're creating these things. So it's just, to me, visually rewarding. You see how just making everything symmetrical for me kind of just makes the shot that much more appealing. So I'm going to get into now just kind of cleaning up this foreground. Now there's no like formula. A lot of the sometimes, because there's different textures in here, I'm going to turn this off. Call this composition. I'm going to save this. Do Reddit fix. Reddit fix. All right. Photoshop save. All right. We've got this. Oh wow, there's a lot of artifacting in here. So we'll retouch this out. So one thing I would do is, because of the artifacting, this is a low-res JPEG that they had sent me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking this. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to fill it with gray. Shift F5. Yeah. Fill it with 50% gray. Change it to overlay. And what's going to help me break up the artifacting is I'm going to add noise. Filter, noise, add noise. I'm going to do a 3. And I'm going to go filter, sharpen, unsharpen, mask. And we're going to make this, oh, you know what? Yeah. Let's try 50. 3 pixels, 1 threshold. See how it just sharpens up the grain just enough to kind of break up some of that artifacting. And I'll actually go in, and what I'll do is I'll slightly blur the image and then actually then sharpen it afterwards. But again, this is stuff that you're not going to notice unless you, I don't know, make it massive. I don't know what his plans are on this, or their plans are. So we'll start to look here. I've duplicated the background, so I have something that I can work. Well, yes, I'll duplicate that. I'll call this one transform. Transform. O-R-M. And call this one retouch. This is where I know I can. This is the one I'm working on. So I'm looking in here, and I'm gonna basically, first I'm gonna take this, cut it out. I'm going to see if I can extend this first. Actually, another thing I'm going to do is really quick is just kind of map out the edge of this reference. So I know how far it goes into the edge of the frame. There, that should be good enough. Give me an idea. There's this pole in here. I'll probably get rid of that. Another thing I want to do is, I actually like that this isn't perfectly horizontal, that it is bent like someone had been sitting on it. We'll figure out how to create this texture. I think what I'll end up doing is just kind of copying and pasting some stuff. There's a little bit of motion in there, which is fine. So yeah, so I'm gonna take this, scale it up, fit in here. Now, one thing I can do is to do that, and I'm gonna go to, now that I've scaled it up, and go to perspective. So I've got a different, sorry for the F word there. I'm all about superlatives in my life. Okay. There, I'm gonna, for transform, I'm gonna extend this up and skew it. The dream would be to keep this highlight in here. I'm gonna start to play with that, so I don't have to recreate it. And one thing I'm gonna do is, I think, drop the opacity on this so I can see the edges better. I'm gonna throw a gradient on this mask so I can start to see what this fade here is gonna look like. Here we go. There, looks about right. All right. I'm gonna brush out the stuff I'm not using. So I'm gonna group that. Mask, brush, DX0, caps lock off. Go to my regular, my main brushes, which are, I have a main hard and a main soft. Use the main hard one just to get started, but you know what? This looks like this falling out of focus. Yeah, it's falling out of focus. So we're gonna go main soft, and I'm gonna change this to 60% hardness. I'm at 100%, so I'm just gonna shift click here and then come all the way to the edge. Just keep going back and forth. Turn the red off so I can start seeing what this looks like. All right, I'm here. No, that's the, you know what? I'll probably keep some of that underneath there. Guess I want that for later. Cool. I'm gonna take this other part here. Lasso, click this. I'm actually going to shift add this here just because I might like what's on the other side better. All right, Command C, Command V. Actually, I'll do Command Shift V, and that's paste in place, which means it placed it exactly where the cutout was. I'm gonna turn my guides back on here. I'm gonna transform this to fit. Now, one of the challenges that there's when you scale something like this up, you get distortion in the grain and the JPEG artifacting, and it's going to have an effect on the way this ends up looking. But because of the grain and what we'll end up doing later, when I talk about making things slightly softer and then sharpening them afterwards, I'm going to do it as a whole so that way it looks cohesive and it's all done together. I have my grain layer on there to be able to kind of make all this kind of blend together here. That. I know I'm not worried about these things because I'm going to manually place them as their own thing later. Like I'm kind of close here. I'm just going to zoom in. Just doing a little skew there, skew and drag. This looks like it's lining up-ish. Like I kind of originally drew the guide wrong. Shift click and drag. Looks about right there. I'm going to do mask, gradient X. I'll be right back, guys. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Thanks for being patient if you are still here. Appreciate that. So I will eventually use the clone stamp, but the clone stamp isn't going to solve the problems that I'm having right now with this particular shot. So I'm really just kind of using what's there to kind of bring it out, block it out. There we go. Then what I'll do is I'll turn off this red here. So see all this repeating in here. And what I'll actually probably do, I'm going to take this here. For me, it's better to use parts of the image to recreate this area in the foreground and then clone stamp it out, because you get a lot of repeating, you start to notice a lot of visual patterns, a lot of things you wouldn't normally want to see when building out these shots. So I'll take this here, I'll scale this up. See, now I'm really getting to be able to use parts of the photos that are here to recreate this foreground, and then I'll only end up like retouching out this area here. We'll have to make this slightly different. I'm just going to match this up here. Okay, cool. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but I'll brush in what I think is worth it, and then I can also paint out what I don't want. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind when doing this is that there are people aren't going to judge you on your imagery for what they don't see. Meaning, if there's something that was there and you took it out and then added in something else, if the viewer doesn't see that, they're not going to notice it. Let's see what this looks like here. That's pretty close. I think I'll probably end up, yeah, here's what we'll do here. So I'll get rid of this. And I'll take this here, turn this off again, pick this up, try and bring this out as much as I can. I really just want to kind of keep the integrity of the original shot. Bring this back on. Control, bring this up one level, one layer. This goes back to another Sean rule for life, I guess you could call it. People will respect you just as much for what you will do as for what you won't do. I can't translate this into where's my chat window? Some days this thing works, some days it doesn't. Can chat box work? Let's see here. Yeah, okay. It just doesn't want to work. I don't know why. I'm sorry, guys. We'll get that figured out. So, kind of got this scaled up here, and I'm going to use a little bit of perspective in here to kind of match some of the size of this here. I'm trying to cover, so we'll do that. Right, I'm going to brush some of that away. Do it at 30% here. I figure out where that is. I like this. I don't like this, so I'm going to get rid of that. Meaning, so what I meant by people will respect you just as much for what you will do as for what you won't do. If you'll do something for a certain amount, and that's what you're comfortable with charging, that's what people expect from you. But people will always want you to go cheaper. It's just how it works. Their job is to get you at the lowest price possible, because nothing you do is set in stone, except for the line that you draw in terms of what you'll do and what you won't do. And that's what I live by for my work. People will always complain about the price. Actually, they should be complaining about the price because then it means I'm charging the right amount. If they don't complain about the price, then I'm doing something wrong, right? The main thing is that they don't ever complain about the work. If they don't ever complain about the work, then I'm doing it right. They can complain about the cost all day long. It's their job. They need to get you as cheap as possible. Now, we're getting into the clone stamp tool. I'm actually going to go oval on this and do it in the direction that I'm going in. Move this brush, move it over. Won't let me rotate that there. I usually like to clone in the direction. Let's see, now I'm picking up some, getting lighter there. So what I'm going to do is go curves, Control-Alt-G, and then I'll bring this down where it kind of disappears right there. All right, I'll start cloning some stuff here, create a new layer. See, I'm starting to see this repeat here. So I'm going to go back to here. This is this entire section here. So what I'm going to do is, before I clean up this here, I want to liquefy this and just kind of bring this over. I'm going to duplicate it. Do Control-J. I'm going to apply the layer mask. Turn this off because it's a copy and make it gray. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to my liquefy, and what I want to do is, if I'm seeing here right, so I'll just go, just really quick, grab a brush, create a new layer, pick one of my sketching brushes, this one, and I'll go, right, this person is shaped like this, this is their outline, perfect. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it, and that is going to be the outline of the reflection. See, so I want this to be all the way over here to mimic the woman. So I'm going to go, I already have that duplicated. I'm going to go filter, liquefy. This is the first time using liquefy here on streaming. Very exciting. Excuse me, take meds. That's it for now. So we see the line of our lady here. Go up here. She looks like it's lagging a little bit for some reason. Increase my size. What I do is take this, just start to kind of slowly move it over. Because we don't want it to look like somebody dragged it out of the way. But we have these odd reflections on the ground that enable us to kind of play with it a little bit. So I'm still kind of just slowly dragging this over because we want it to mimic the shape of her outline. Now, another thing, notice, you can't tell, I don't know if you can tell that I'm doing this. I'm only going straight across horizontally to match the distortion in the ground. I don't want to go up and down, and that'll start to look really weird. Because you've almost got this like a ripple effect. It doesn't have to be exact, but just, oops, I went up. It was straight across. Oops. What up my strength here? Size 250, pressure is 100. That's fine. Density is 50. This is kind of giving me just to mimic her shape so it doesn't look exactly like the reflection that was over there. All right, guys, I'll be right back. 1 second. Thanks for being patient, guys. I apologize about that. I'm literally just got home with a newborn yesterday, so I'm multitasking. I'm gonna bring this over just a tiny bit more. This part here primarily. Oops. Again, I'm just going horizontally across on this so it matches up. There. There we go. So let's see. So if I go to my history here, just to kind of see the difference. Boom, 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 liquefy. See how we've brought it over to kind of match the line? And that will make Our Lady's reflection the hell did my red drawing line? There we go. Match. It won't be so cloney looking. So this is, let's see what this is. This is the opening, it looks like, because that's from there. This is here. So this is the other, this is the pole. We won't pull there so we can get rid of that. So I'll make a new layer. I'm gonna start stamping some of this in here. I don't want that. Anytime I've done something, oh, I know what's going on here. I have to double click with my Wacom tablet because it's has issues. So you see we're starting to get a little bit of this weirdness going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here. I'm just going to merge everything. So what I'm trying to do is just get the texture out of there. So I'm merged it. I'm going to take this, copy it, and see if I can try and squeeze the texture out of here onto here. Skew this in the same direction. This is just for the texture of the ground onto where we're going. So I'm going to try a few different layer properties here. There. So that's there. I'm just going to bring this down. Go curves. Start to lose a little bit. I'm going to mask this and then draw it in over the area that looks funky. Go to this brush. Zero. 30. And we're kind of picking up some of that texture in there. Granted, it's a different color, but what I can do is then go in here, create a new layer that's clipped to it, click brush, sample the color that's nearby, put it on color, do 20% in here, maybe 30. You know, I'm not even gonna clip it, just take it off. Grab this here. You know, I'm actually going to do little curves in here. Make the whole thing slightly darker, not the image, just that area. And I'll go DX, Alt Delete, brush 30, and then brush that back in here. I'm just blotting it at what, 30% here. Just doing it like this. Oh, hey, we're getting featured here. We've done that. Still want more of this color in here. Grab some of this green. It's the colors, layers on color. Oh, maybe we want some of this other green here. Nope. So now what I'm going to do is, this is where we get to cheat a little bit. I'm creating a new layer and I'm going to brush, I'm going to airbrush some of this here at like 10%, just to kind of lighten up some of this texture in here that's really heavy. And again, I'm just alt clicking and painting. And this is just going to kind of lighten up some of that texture in there because it's distracting from everything else that's going on. Same thing with here, we'll do that as well. I think what I'm going to do now is go on top of here and stamp click some of this the stuff I don't like in here. Just some of the distortion texture that I don't like. Remember, this is JPEG artifacting in it, so I'm not too worried about getting in really close to see the nitty gritty. I'm really gonna kind of focus on what's being seen further away, since this isn't exactly the highest resolution image. I'm gonna clean this up here too. Hello, Costa. How you doing? Well, it looks like I have to get going here. So I'm going to be back probably in about 2 hours and we'll wrap this image up. You've seen an idea of where we started. Glad we were able to take some time to go, but we're going to darken this down in the whole thing. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Sorry we had to keep this short. I apologize for thanks for everybody for being patient. But just been going my newborn yesterday, so I'll see you guys again soon. Take care. Peace. Follow me on